Hello, it's Daryl at 10-Foot Truck Good Attitude Services. And I'm heading back with another pallet of materials. I picked up I picked up a small item with another pallet, dropped it off, and taking this pallet back. So I'm going back to where it came from. And he said there's another one coming up too. So it's becoming pretty regular doing these pallet material loads to this company, at least one or two a week, consistently for the last November, December, January, 4 months. No, it can't be that long. I'll have to look into it. It's been at least 3 months, I think. And he said that he doesn't see any. He said it'd probably be needing my help probably until July, at least, because they have to figure out what they're going to do with that with their truck. So that's good. Happy about that. It's always good to have these little side gigs. They add up. Multiple streams of income. That's the way I look at it. I got all these little projects or things, like this one. This is once or twice a week. And I have the junk removal, which is, could be once or twice. I don't know. That depends on the time of year. Like in springtime, summer, it's much more. I don't know if I should go that way. I'll go this way, so much less busier out here today. break for, this is a college town over here. I wonder if they're on some kind of break or something. Because I've never seen it this slow out here. Yeah, I mean, maybe they have like a quarter system or whatever, where they take a break and for the next semester or next whatever quarter, I don't know. It seems pretty dead around here. This town's mainly for college. I mean, that's the main part of this town, university. But they have other things going on, but nice little town. It seems a little bit, I don't know, it just seems kind of desolate today. Normally it's traffic and yeah, I guess it could be winter break of some sort, I don't know. Much better weather. The last time I came out here it was freezing cold, and it was like really cold, and it snowed the next day. Today it's rainy, but in the 40s, and then it's going to be going up into the 50s soon. It's not too bad. So this pallet here, I dropped off. I picked up just a small roll of material, and then a pallet. Dropped that off, and I'm picking up another pallet that they're going to have taken back to the same place that they have to drop off there. And this is almost a couple thousand pounds. This one here, so. I can feel the weight on this one. This is heavy machinery. The other one was super light. And he's talking about getting a truck that he could fit, because they're going to get another truck eventually so they can do it on their own. And they're kind of trying to figure out if they want to get a Penske or some kind of... Those are the most reasonable. I bought this at U-Haul. Back then they were cheap. You had to do repairs on them because they had been beaten up from renters. But they only had 100,000 miles on this truck, so these go for a long time. But they're harder to get now. I was telling him that there used to be, there's a lot of plumbers and different electricians. These people need a truck or a van. They like to buy these because they can fit all their stuff in them, and so they buy them. They buy them by the bulk from U-Haul. At least that's what they used to do. And so they're a little bit harder to find than they used to. They were in high demand because they're not as expensive as one of those Sprinter vans or those so the ProMasters. Those are much more expensive. So. If you want to get something that fits the same amount of product or tools or whatever, you go for one of these. They're a little bit less costly, and they don't cost as much to repair either. The maintenance costs are less money than on a diesel. And right now they have a diesel, and it's basically made for long distance hauls, and they're just doing these runs back and forth. They really don't need something that expensive for as far as diesel maintenance. Diesels are good for long hauls because they last a long time, and they're made for that kind of those kind of trips. Where the gas motor is probably better to run these short little trips. So they're looking into that, and that won't be probably until he's saying sometime in July. So until July, I mean, like I said, these I'm doing these once or twice a week for these guys. He's already talking about another one coming up, maybe this week, so that'll be 2 this week. So they seem to be consistently moving product from their location to have it, have that product and other products they need coming from those other locations, vice versa, going back and forth. So they do need this service on a consistent basis, which I'm willing to do for them because it's not that bad. You're just driving. You're not doing any kind of physical labor. So I don't mind that at all. And I like going on the freeway miles because freeway miles are they're better on your vehicle. They're not as hard on your vehicle when you're doing the freeway miles as opposed to in town, lots of stops. Like those UPS, FedEx, they're and Amazon, they do 100 stops a day. I think. I don't know how much they do, but somewhere around that. I mean, I used to load trucks for UPS, so they used to tell me how many stops they would do, and because I had to load it, I could see how many packages were going in there, and it had to be like 100 stops a day. So can you imagine, and then they do pickups on top of that. They pick up from vendors and things like that, like stores or shops. So they're dropping off, picking up, and it's very repetitive. It's like one stop after another. On a vehicle like that, when I was working at UPS, we had in-house mechanics. I don't know if they have those anymore, but they had to have the mechanics there working on those trucks constantly because of those, you're doing those kind of stop, go all day. It's very hard on the transmission. And back then they were at stick shift, so I don't know, they're probably automatic now. When I worked for them, there was a lot of stick shift trucks. At least I think they did. Maybe it's automatic, I don't know. I didn't drive the truck, so I don't know. I think probably back in the day they did stick, which would be really hard on shifting and on the clutch. But on the automatic too, I mean, it's hard on the starter, on the the stop and go. It puts a lot of wear and tear on the car, on the motor, on the starter, on the brakes, and the transmission and so forth. So they have to really keep up on the maintenance on those trucks. Whereas this truck, I'm using it just for, I don't do multiple stops. If I do, it's just maybe 2 or 3, and usually it's mostly mileage, or if it's in town, it's I go pick up a load and drop it off, and that's it. Or it's junk removal. I just fill the truck up, take it to the dump it off, and maybe I'll do 2 a day. I'm not doing that much. Like I see some of these junk removal companies are doing like 7 or 8 jobs a day. Of course, that requires a lot of marketing to get there. And I've watched some of these guys talk about it. The marketing, it can either go one way. I was watching a guy who talks about how he was doing Google ads, and he was putting he spent like $250,000 in a year on Google ads to make $1 million. I think he made $1 million of gross sales. So that's a big investment to put into Google ads, which I don't have that. I'm starting from ground up. I don't have that kind of money to dump into Google ads. So what I do is I do Craigslist ads, which are $5 a day, or $5 an ad. And in my area, it's not a highly populated area, so compared to other cities, I think the guy that was doing that $250,000 for his Google ads was in Southern California with a population of like 10 million people. I watched another guy, he's in Dallas, that's like 5, 10, I don't know, around 10 million people in those areas. In my area, it's only a couple 100,000 people. In the county, maybe in the whole county, there's probably roughly 400,000 maybe. So I'm really only marketing to about 200,000. So since you have a small population like that, it's going to take longer to get, to get your repeat customers, to get your, you get things like I got here, where you're getting repetitive customers and getting phone calls. And I noticed on Craigslist there's not as many. There's service providers, but you don't really have to pump the ads on there. Like when I lived in a bigger city, I lived in a city which before this that had 5 million people, or 4 or 5 million people. And in that case, you look at the service providers on Craigslist, and it would be like you would have to. And back then, you could do them for free. So I do like 20 ads in a day sometimes because they didn't care. Like you just keep pumping the ads in there because you can if you put one ad up, by the end of the day you're buried and no one would see you. But here where I'm at, because the population is so much smaller, I put up an ad and on Craigslist, and it's still up. 2 days later, you can still see it. It's on the list. It's not that far down the list because there's not as many service providers. They're out there, but they're not. A lot of them are doing Google. They're not. Most of the junk removal businesses out here are doing Google ads. They're not so much doing it on Craigslist. So I don't really have to stack up the ads on Craigslist. One a day is perfectly fine. Even one every other day is perfectly fine. I don't get buried. So that's kind of what I'm doing now because I'm not going to invest tons of money into Google ads. I prefer to take it slow and build a customer base, like I'm doing now with pallet loads. I'm getting these guys will be using them, and then maybe they'll refer me to somebody else. And then doing when I do a junk removal job, or moving jobs, they tend to, in my experience, because I do moving and pickup and delivery. Moving jobs, the customers on those jobs can be very much more frequent as far as repeat. I've had customers that I move every couple months, every 6 months. Sometimes once people are moving into, I had one customer that was moving, mainly living in renting rooms in a house. So she didn't really have a lease. It was just paying monthly. She was always looking for the best deal, and the rent prices were fluctuating quite a bit. Sometimes I would move her once a month. I don't remember, or at least once every 3 or 4 months, because she was always getting a better deal for the room, looking for the best deal. So, people who are apartment dwellers, they move quite often, maybe once every year. If they're on a lease, if they're month to month, they might move once every 6 months, because things happen. You go to an apartment, you don't know who you're dealing with, who your neighbors are. It may not be the best place. It may look good when you get there, but then you might 2 or 3 months later, you might want to get out of there, and they don't sign a year lease, and you get out month to month. So the apartment moving apartment, the people who move apartments, and then moving people who rent rooms in houses. Those are really, they're a lot more often. I've had repeat customers countless times, the same customer for years, and so that's, if you buy a house and move into a house, that's different. That's going to be, you're moving a house, you're going to be there for a long time. You're not going to be hiring movers every year. So my my customer base is basically apartment people with apartments, or they rent rooms, or they rent houses. But renters that's my main bread and butter, are renters, as far as repeat customers. And then of course this company here, this kind of thing, that they need your business on a regular basis. But I had a repeat customer that they had moved and bought a house, and they moved all their stuff from California, and I helped them out. I helped them unpack and set up their house, and assemble furniture, and buy furniture, refurnish their house, and then I became doing just extra stuff like put up the Christmas lights, doing landscaping, things like that, hanging pictures, and just whatever they needed things done. I helped them out for many years, so that turned into, sometimes the customer needs other things besides moving, or besides junk removal. I did some junk removal for them too. So those repeat customers, that's kind of my experience. Has been mainly not always apartments, but a lot of people who live in apartments. They're gonna need service on a more regular basis than a house. The least amount of repeat customer I would think for me would be someone, like I said, someone who bought a house and they moved in there. They may need some help later on down the road, but it's not as often. And then businesses are the best. I've had many businesses that went on for years. The life of the business. I got hooked in with a business, for instance, a furniture store, and that business went on for years until they closed the business. So sometimes that can go for decades if the business stays open. I had another business I probably could have stayed with for more years, but I left the area. So businesses, contracts, and connections can lead to really good, consistent work that keeps you going all year round. So that's something to look into, is networking with businesses, if they need your services. You can get those repeat clients. And then just when you show up to the job for a company, for a business, be real nice to the people, and be like today, for instance, a guy called me. He's like, get it done today, and I did. I just went out and got in the car and truck and went out and did the job, and that goes a long ways with them, because they know they can count on you being there to do the job. And if you're that way, and you're consistent with being there and showing up on time and doing what you told them, what you agreed upon, then you'll have a lifetime customer, or at least a long-term customer, because that's kind of the only real way you want to keep your consistent business. Because if you're relying on ads, it's hard to, if you're one-off, you get one customer and then you never hear from that customer again. That's not consistent, and that doesn't build a business. You want to build those as much as you can. You want to build those repeat clients on a consistent basis, and have lifetime customers, or at least long-term customers. Then you're gonna, then things will start to work out, and that's the way I see it. For me, here it's been a little harder, like I said, because the population is smaller. But I'm starting to get some of these. Like I said, this customer today, they're once, twice a week. So I'm adding to that helps to have that consistent customer, and I just need more of those. If I get 3 or 4 more of those customers, then I wouldn't have to put so much money in ads, which I don't put a lot of money in ads. I only put like $5 a day on ads, but yeah, so that's kind of how that works. So I got to keep working on that, getting more of those repeat customers and consistent business. I hear some companies or some of the junk removal, they work with real estate agents. I have worked with I didn't have necessarily worked with realtors. I did one, but actually one of the good customers I have is not a realtor, but they rent houses out, so they're more of an investor. And I've moved furniture in and out of these rentals because they do furnished rentals. And then Airbnbs, I've worked with Airbnbs, moving stuff in and out. And another thing I haven't mentioned in any of my videos, or maybe I have, it hasn't happened here, maybe because it's different here as far as real estate. I haven't connected with the real estate agents here. But the one thing I connected when I was over in my old city that I lived in before I came here was I dealt along with a lot of stagers. I don't know if you know what a stager is. Stagers, they provide a service for realtors to make the house look nice with furniture and decorations and so forth, like a nice couch, a nice bed, desks, kitchenware, paintings, artwork. So they know how to make a house look, when it's not, instead of having an empty house, they make it look like someone's living there when they're selling, before they sell it. So the people come in there to look at the house to buy, they kind of get an idea. It makes them feel more comfortable. They can see that it's a livable place. So I haven't had any stagers call me in this area yet. Not saying they won't. It's not real estate season right now. Maybe in the summer, in the spring or summer. But over there, I had like 5 or 6 stagers. I worked some really high-end stagers that were staging, multi-million-dollar houses. I mean, I worked with a stager that, on a regular basis, that the houses they were selling were like, $5-10 million houses. I mean, big houses. And then I worked with stagers that were doing more of just your average house. So I worked with different stagers, and then one staging company I worked, they were a little bit higher end. They actually they liked my services so much they wanted to hire me as a permanent staging, basically transporting for them and helping them stage. But I really didn't want to. I wasn't interested in being a stager. I was cool with just transporting the furniture and all that, but I didn't want to be stuck with that because I want to do other things. I don't mind doing it part-time. I had about 3 stagers on top of doing, and here's the interesting part. One of the reasons why I ended up getting with so many staging companies is because of, I gotta get on here, that's right. Is because the consignment store that I was doing a lot of customer contracts with for years, a lot of the clientele were stagers, interior decorators. Oh, that's another. I haven't mentioned that either. I work with interior decorators, going to stores and getting stuff for them and bringing it in, helping them bring stuff in. So they, that company was great. That Estate Interiors. I worked with them for with their customers for several years, so I got some clientele that were, like I said, interior decorators and stagers that were working too, because their furniture was so nice. They were getting high-end furniture, so they needed those nice pieces for staging and for interior decorating. So that was a good gig, and